Guys, Francois here from Catch and Release Network. Today I'm gonna do another video for you guys. I'm gonna tie the FG knot in my personal preference. I'm gonna give you guys a few tips and tricks to help you tie this knot. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my reel on my rod. Excuse, this is my carp rod. Just doesn't matter, it's just for the video's purpose. But the reason for me doing that, I'm gonna thread through my main line through the eyes of my rod, and I'm gonna bring my main line back to my reel here. The reason for me doing that, if I'm in the surf, I don't want to struggle. I don't want to have to put my one piece of my main line around my big toe and the other piece hold it between my teeth and stuff like that. I just want the easy, comfortable way to tie this knot, and that's efficient, and this just makes it much easier. So you guys can see there my line is tight. I'm gonna have about half a meter's length of main line left, and I'm gonna just take it and I'm just gonna wrap it around my handle here a few times. So that's about 4 times there, and as you guys can see, it's not gonna just pull out there. And what I've got now is I've got nice tension on this line, on this main line of mine. So I'm gonna take my braided line out. This is gonna be a braid to braid FG knot. I know a lot of guys don't like to do that, but I've been doing it for some time and I don't have any complaints. I don't have any reason for me not to do it. It works for me, and I know that it will work for you. Okay, so you're gonna take your main line, your leader line, and you're gonna pass it underneath your main line with about, you can say about 10 centimeters. You can even make it a bit longer, spare left there. Okay, so you're gonna take it beneath it, and you're just gonna hold it there for an instant, and you're gonna take it over the top and underneath your main line, and then you're gonna pull this line straight. And then you're gonna do the same on this side. You're gonna take it underneath, and you're gonna take it over the top, and you're just gonna pull it straight. You guys can see as I'm going, I'm trying to just hold this knot here, and then I just keep going. You know, you'll see it's gonna make a nice little almost like, I don't want to say clicking sound, but you're gonna feel that knot fall into place in the appropriate position. So a very important thing to know or to keep in mind about an FG knot is that you have to keep tension. That's why I have this tension here on this main line. You have to keep tension on this main line to make this an efficient knot. I've seen plenty of guys that badmouth the FG knot, and yeah, the FG knot doesn't work. I tied it once, and then as I hooked into the big fish and I started putting pressure on the fish, my FG knot slipped. So that will happen if you don't cinch down your FG knot properly. You have to cinch it down properly. I don't know if you guys probably know I think it's a Chinese finger trap. That it's a small tube where you put your finger in, and when you try and pull out your finger, the material grabs your finger. So this knot works on the same principle. It also grabs the line as it wants to go out. Your main line literally cinches down into your leader line, and I don't want to say it's going to be 100% knot strength, but in my opinion, an FG knot is the closest knot you're gonna get to 100% knot strength, just because the way this knot is and the tension that it can take. And you'll really see that when you start fishing with a knot, and even if you get stuck and you have a very big problem, and you get stuck and you start really pulling hard on that line of yours, and you guys can see there that this knot is forming nicely now. Just important to keep tension. I don't have a certain amount of times that I go about doing this knot. To me, it's just I do it until I feel like I've done enough. It's not like I count 1, 2, 3, something like that. I just go a few times, and that right there, it's about 20-25 centimeters. That's just about right for me. So all you're going to do now is you're going to take off your line here at the end of your okay, so all you're going to do now is you're just going to take your line off at the end of your handle here. I'm keeping tension. I'm holding my finger on that FG knot of mine constantly throughout this process. And the next thing I'm going to do is I am just going to make I'm just going to pull this line straight, just hold it like that, and then I'm going to make 1/2 hitch just to hold everything in place without, and as you guys can see, I'm holding the end, I'm holding my thumb at the end of where that FG knot is. You can see it's right at the end there, so that I get that 1/2 hitch in the appropriate position. I don't want to get it too far away from the FG knot, because that's just, they're not going to help you. You need those knots to be right on one another, just to be sure that you've got a nice method of finishing off this knot. Okay, so once I've put in that last little 1/2 hitch there, the next part in this process is the most important part. I'm going to pull my main line a bit. I'm going to grab my main line. I'm just going to go a few times around my hand here. Same with my leader line. Just go a few times around my hand. And here's where the sports come in. So what you want to do now is you want to cinch down on this knot. And I don't know if you guys can see what's happening there, but you can see the knot cinching down onto that main line. You can see how it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter all the way through. So you really have to apply proper tension on this knot, just to ensure that that knot is cinched down. And that's the most important part of this knot. Secondly, to finishing off the knot, but that's the most important part to me, because if you don't do this properly, your knot is going to slip. As you guys can see there now, that knot is cinched down all the way from the start where I put that 1/2 hitch all the way down to the bottom here. That is tight. That knot is not going anywhere. So with that, I'm really happy. The next thing I'm going to do is just a couple more 1/2 hitches. Let me just undo this here. The next I'm going to do is just a couple more 1/2 hitches. I'm going to go in there. Don't forget to lubricate. Must always lubricate your knots. Just pull in those 1/2 hitches there, nice and tight. What I like to do in this moment of time is I like to get all my 1/2 hitches like in the same direction. Otherwise your knot just gets a bit too chunky and your knot goes in a whole bunch of different directions. I like to keep it that I hold my main line in the same direction the whole time, and I get those 1/2 hitches to come out on the same side. That just helps me to manage that knot, and at the end it just gives you a much nicer finish. And in my opinion, a knot that's just gonna hold much nicer, because you don't have bumps and lumps sticking out all over the place. Let's go a few more times here. These 1/2 hitches are really just to finish off the knot, and just to seal off that end of the FG, so that you don't get slippages and things like that, and the end of your FG doesn't come loose. Because if the end of your FG comes loose, you're going to have the same problem that you're going to have if you don't cinch down the rest of your knot properly. You're going to have the same problem. Your knot's just going to keep on slipping and slipping and slipping. I made a small mistake here. Let me just grab my pliers. Just tighten this 1/2 hitch properly. Oh, there we go. As you guys can see there, let me just pull this knot nice and straight. As you guys can see, those 1/2 hitches are coming along nicely. I'm going to do a few more for you guys here on this end. I'm probably going to fast forward this bit because it's taking a lot of time. But you need to lubricate, remember to lubricate. And then you can just keep on pulling those 1/2 hitches For me, half hitches are just the easiest way to finish off an FG, and I have been doing it like this for all the years I've been fishing, and I haven't had any problems with finishing off my half hitches, my FG knot with only just half hitches. I haven't had any problems with that. Yeah, it's been working good for me. And after a while, I really like after a while to just retie my FG knots, just to cut them off and retie. The reason for that being that the FG knot, although this knot is like a really thin knot, the abrasion from your casting the whole time and the line going through your eyes, that abrasion is still there. So you don't want to, if your knot doesn't break in a few fishing sessions, I just like to still, and you've been casting a lot, I like to still just cut the FG knot off, put on a new FG knot, just to keep everything nice and tidy. You don't know when you're gonna pull into a big fish, and then you're just gonna know that your knot is not, you have some doubts about the gear you have. That's the last thing you want. So on a Friday afternoon, just before your fishing trip, just cut off your FG, tie a new one. And I think this here is going to be my last half hitch, right on the previous one. Just going to pull this half hitch nice and tight, every direction. Pull it nice and tight. And then we know that this knot is nice and proper. Let's cut off our tag ends. Get yourself a nice pair of sharp cutters, side cutters or braid cutters, because you guys know how it is to cut a piece of braid with a dull knife or a dull something. It just is not very nice. Okay, so let me guys show you the finished product here. This is the completed FG knot. Guys can see there the knot is cinched all the way down, and it's just a really nice knot. There's a very low resistance as your line is going to go through from this side to there through your eyes. You can see the start of this knot is just almost no resistance in your line whatsoever. And yeah, you guys can see that there's no. This camera just focus. You guys can see that there is no, when I pull on this knot, there is no movement on this knot. So yeah, with that I am happy. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Follow for some tips and tricks and stuff like that. I'm gonna, the next few days, make a few videos on cob traces. I know the cob season is coming in, so within the next few weeks I'm gonna do some nice cob trace videos and some general knot videos and stuff like that, just for either the beginner angler or an avid angler who's looking to learn some new things, try out some new traces and stuff like that. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Cheers.